Okay, today we're going to be looking at finding the volume of a solid made of cubes. Now they're using unit fraction edge lengths. This is important because this is one of the state standards, and a lot of times we're just used to finding the volume with whole numbers. So students are going to have to be very careful when they look at something like this, that they are actually looking to see what each edge is worth, okay? And in this case, it's going to be 1/4 is what each edge is. So that means that they have to take an extra step and just say, well, gee, if this is 1/4 from here to here, well, this is 1/4, this is 1/4, and this is another fourth. So in fact, the measure of the width would be 4/4 of a yard, or simply 1 yard. That makes life a little easier. And then we're going to see how deep this is. And again, they've got to remember that each is 1/4. So we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4. So this is going to be 6/4 of a yard. I would suggest leaving it as an improper fraction at this time. And now we're going to see how many stacks there are, how high it is. Well, again, it's going to be a fourth, so it's going to be 1/4, 2/4. I'm going to just leave it as 2/4 of a yard for right now. Now, the formula says we take the area of the base and then we multiply it by how tall it is. Well, the area of the base would end up being, we've got 1 yard times 6/4 yards times 2/4 yards. Now again, you could have simplified it. I just left it alone. I don't have to worry about the 1 because it's not going to change the value, identity property of multiplication. So I really just have to worry about my 6/4 times my 2/4. And students should always try to simplify before they multiply. Again, we could have simplified it before, but now we've got 2 divided by 2, 1, 4 divided by 2, 2, and we can look at our 4 and our 6. 4 divided by 2, 2, 6 divided by 2, 3, multiply across, and we're going to end up with 3 times 1, which is 3, 2 times 2 is 4, and of course it's going to be yards, and it will be cubed because we had the yards times the yards times the yards. Now, that would just be the real quick, easy way to do it. However, they're asking us to count how many cubes there are, and you know, just like a young child who's counting cubes, they could do this. You could either try to figure out what's on the bottom layer or simply look at what's on the top layer. And if you look at what's on the top, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And how many rows of this do I have? I have 4 here, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 4 times 6 is going to give me 24 cubes that I have. Since I have 2 layers, it would be 24 times 2. So we have our 24 times 2, which is going to tell us that we have 48. So how many small cubes? We have 48 small cubes. Now they're going to ask us, what is the volume of just one of the cubes? I'm telling students that it would be a really good idea for them to try to actually draw a cube as best they can. It does not have to be perfect, but if they could just get an idea, and then label the sides, label the edge with the measurement. We know that the measurement is 1/4. So one of these cubes would just be 1/4 of a yard. And then obviously the other side would be 1/4 of a yard, and it would be 1/4 of a yard tall. Because we're finding the volume, we know we have to have our 1/4 yard times 1/4 of a yard times 1/4 of a yard. And if we take a look, we would multiply across and we'd get our 1. And then we would have 4 times 4, 16. 16 times 4, we've got 1/64. They already have the label here for us. So one small cube would have a volume of 1/64 cubed yards. Now, if that's for 1 cube and we have 48 of those, then we would say that we would have to take 48, multiply it by 1/64, and then the students, if they want, they are more than welcome to use their calculators at this point, and they would just have their 48 over 64, and in their calculator, they would end up with just the 48, obviously, over 64. They can hit the simplify key, enter. The arrow is going down on the calculator. That means they can simplify it again. Another arrow, hit simplify and enter. Again, simplify, enter. And you will end up with your 3/4 yards cubed. And that is exactly what we have in the first place. And that is it.